We're going to create a new banner. This is a Jum Doc alert. NBA superstar LeBron James is talking politics.
Shut Up and Dribble, February 2018. Laura Ingraham looked straight into the camera and told LeBron James, one of the greatest athletes of our generation, to shut his mouth. Must they run their mouths like that? She said. Shut up and dribble. 3 words that lit a firestorm. But here's what nobody talks about. That moment wasn't just about basketball or politics. It was the clearest window into who Laura Ingraham really is and who she's become. And when you dig into her story, you realize something unsettling. The woman who lectures America about family values has never been married. The commentator who warns about demographic replacement adopted 3 foreign children. The broadcaster who mocked a teenager survived cancer herself and still didn't learn compassion. So what happened to Laura Ingraham? Let me tell you what really happened. Start with 2005. She's 41 years old, top of her game. Then a doctor finds a lump during a routine exam. Invasive ductal carcinoma, breast cancer, aggressive, the kind that doesn't wait around. Her mother had died of lung cancer just 6 years earlier. Laura watched her waste away. Now it was her turn. 2 surgeries, 6 weeks of chemo and radiation. By October, she's done. By early 2006, she's broadcasting from Baghdad. Hair still growing back, cameras rolling. She calls herself a thriver, not a survivor. Says she doesn't want pity, doesn't want to be defined by it. Fair enough, but here's the part that stings. She survived a disease that should teach you empathy, that should crack you open. And yet, 13 years later, she's on Twitter mocking David Hogg, a teenager, for getting rejected from college. A kid who just watched 17 of his classmates get slaughtered at Parkland. She tweets about his whining. David Hogg fights back, calls for an advertiser boycott. Within days, 27 sponsors pull out. Laura issues an apology, but only after the money dries up. Hogg saw right through it. She only apologized because she lost advertisers, he said. And you know what? He's right. That's the story of Laura Ingraham in a nutshell. She survives the unsurvivable, buries her mother, faces her own mortality, and somehow comes out the other side harder, meaner, more willing to punch down. Then there's her brother, Curtis Ingraham, older brother, California school teacher, openly gay, and he hates what his sister has become. In 2018, he called her a monster, not in private, in a public interview. He said she's ready to destroy rather than listen. He described their childhood, said their father was abusive, held extremist views, suggested maybe that's where Laura's anger comes from. On Twitter, Curtis became what he calls a sibling fact-checker. Every time Laura posts something inflammatory, there's Curtis in the replies, tearing her apart. When she attacked Dr. Fauci during COVID, Curtis called her pathetic. When she pushed anti-immigrant rhetoric, he called her a racist, a Nazi sympathizer. And here's the kicker. It wasn't always like this. Back in 1997, Laura wrote an essay for The Washington Post. She said watching Curtis and his partner cope with an AIDS diagnosis changed her views on homosexuality. She praised their dignity, fidelity, and courage. She sounded human, maybe even compassionate. But Curtis says once Fox News came calling, once the paycheck got big enough, Laura flipped, became more conservative, more divisive. He says those sympathetic words from 1997 feel like a sham now. Laura's response? A bland statement saying she's sad about her brother's false and hurtful posts. That's it. No real engagement, no reconciliation, just damage control. Your own brother calls you a monster on the record, and all you can muster is a press release. Now let's talk about the hypocrisy that nobody seems to mention enough. In 2025, Laura goes on air and criticizes Gen Z for not prioritizing marriage and kids. She cites some NBC poll, wrings her hands about declining birth rates, and basically lectures an entire generation about family values. Except, and this is rich, Laura Ingraham has never been married, not once. She's 62 years old, a single mother who adopted 3 kids in her 40s. She built her family entirely outside the traditional structure she preaches about on TV every night. And yet she has the nerve to scold young people for doing the exact same thing? The backlash was immediate. People online called her a hypocrite. And they're not wrong. You can't spend decades on Fox News championing traditional family values while living a life that defies every single one of those values. But Laura doesn't see the irony. Or maybe she does and just doesn't care. Let's be clear, adopting 3 kids as a single woman is hard. Laura adopted Maria from Guatemala in 2008, then Michael and Nikolai from Russia in 2009 and 2011. She said it was the hardest thing she's ever done, harder than cancer even, and good for her. Those kids have a home, a mother who, by all accounts, loves them fiercely. She keeps them out of the spotlight, makes them share something positive every night at dinner, doesn't let them have smartphones until high school. That's admirable. But it's also deeply ironic, because the same woman who adopted foreign children now rails against immigration on national television. She says demographic changes are being imposed on Americans without consent. She warns that parts of the country don't feel like the America we know and love. Critics say she's pushing the Great Replacement theory, a white nationalist conspiracy that claims elites are replacing white populations with immigrants. Laura denies it, says she's just talking about policy. But when you call immigration an invasion, when you say political opponents are replacing voters, that's not policy talk, that's fear-mongering, and it's dangerous. And then there's shut up and dribble. LeBron James and Kevin Durant speak out about politics. They criticize Trump. They talk about racial justice. And Laura Ingraham, who's built her entire career on speaking out, tells them to stay silent. The message was clear. Black athletes should entertain us. They shouldn't think, shouldn't have opinions, should just dribble and smile and be grateful for their millions. LeBron didn't back down. "I will not just shut up and dribble," he said. "I mean too much to society." And he was right, because the idea that athletes, or anyone, should stay in their lane is authoritarian. It's un-American. And coming from someone who lost her mother, survived cancer, adopted 3 kids, and still has a nightly platform to share her opinions, it's staggering hypocrisy. So what happened to Laura Ingraham? She survived breast cancer but lost her empathy. She adopted 3 foreign children but warns about demographic replacement. She built a family without marriage but lectures Gen Z about family values. She has a brother who calls her a monster, and she responds with corporate PR speak. Maybe Curtis is right. Maybe their father's abuse shaped her. Maybe Fox News money corrupted whatever compassion she had left. Or maybe, and this is the hardest truth, she was always like this. And the 1997 essay about dignity and courage was the sham, the performance, the lie. Because at the end of the day, Laura Ingraham isn't a journalist. She's not even really a commentator. She's a woman who looked death in the face, survived, and decided the world owed her something. So now she punches down at teenagers, dismisses athletes, demonizes immigrants, and collects a paycheck while her own brother begs advertisers to abandon her. That's not strength. That's not resilience. That's just sad. And the saddest part? She'll never see it.